cold.
It is. It's so strange driving on Thursday.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Morning.
The car's only just started to
Is it
heat
still
up.
down in you?
It is, but barely. So how are you today?
Am I right, yeah?
Excellent, good stuff. So what's our plan of action for today?
What did we say last time?
Well, we kind of left it open.
So I want to do... I wish I had my book. I want to do possibly emergency stop again.
At a higher speed.
A higher speed.
Okay.
Did we say maybe just go around the test route? But you're going to be more critical this time.
Well, we sort of touched on that. It's I mean, what I'm trying to avoid is getting into this sort of, oh, you missed your mirror check there, mate. Well done, because that's kind of, I feel that's probably going to disrupt our flow.
Do you think?
I do, and on reflection, when I've thought about it afterwards, and then I've looked at the video, I don't really think there's anything wrong with your mirror work. I think maybe I was just being a bit hypercritical. And perhaps just looking for things to say.
I haven't looked at the last one over on YouTube yet.
Well, I think it's probably all right. But what I have done is I've organised with another instructor for a mock test at some point before we go for the real one. And he'll just run it just like a real test. And do the assessment, and then we'll have a result sheet at the end of it. Maybe give us a list of things that we might want to have a look at. So emergency stop at a slightly higher speed. I figured if we left from here and went towards Womersley, when we get on that straight road out there, we can maybe do that at, do it at one at 30, then one at 40, one at 50.
What do they normally do it on?
It'd be under 30.
Right.
But I mean, obviously, emergencies happen. You might need to do it on a slightly higher speed. So that'll take us out onto sort of country roads a bit. When we get to Womersley, we can then cut back along the country lanes, perhaps to Darrington. That way, and then perhaps think about joining the A1 and doing some dual carriageway stuff, and then back to here. Well, not to here, to your house. That might work. Does that sound like a plan? Okay. What I did think about as offering as something for you to think about for next time is where do you normally do your shopping?
When I did go shopping, Aldi's.
Okay.
Or like Asda.
Because what I thought was it might be an interesting exercise for you to maybe plan a route out to, say, Wakefield. Find somewhere to park the car up, maybe even get out and have a cup of coffee, and then plan your route back. So it's and make your own way there. Because that's the sort of thing you're going to have to do once you've got your licence. You think, right, okay, I want to go there. Or if you want to plan a route into Leeds, wherever you want, really. So it's an option. Something that you can maybe, use Google Maps or the maps on your phone or whatever, and plot a route out there. Happy to do that. I'm going to need fuel today at some point. Now, I was going to do that either after the lesson, or if you want, on the way back, we can call in and show you how to fill it up with fuel. Yeah. So that might be something else that we can do. So out towards Womersley, country roads, faster moving country roads. We'll find a spot along there to do a higher speed emergency stop. Then we'll cut across to Darrington. Again, there's some quite twisty, turny roads along there. Back towards Darrington, and maybe join the A1. Now that's, do you know the junction that I'm on about next to the Darrington Hotel? Yeah. It's quite tight, and the slip road is quite short. So what difference do you think that's going to make to you?
I've been on there before.
It's tight, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what will you do different there to where you would maybe on a motorway where you had a long slip road?
So you can't even really you'd be slower, wouldn't you?
Well, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you haven't got much space to get your speed up. I mean, what we can do is we'll stop and have a chat about it before we do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, make yourself comfy and we'll be off.
Right, what else did you say I need to work on? Blind spots?
No, the blind spots are okay. There was a couple of blind spots that missed, but that's because we were working on something else. So
I can't do that. I can't miss things though, can
I? Well, if you think about it, on test you're not going to be stopping and saying, right, let's do a bit of work on this. So as soon as we divert our attention and say, let's work on this, of course you're focusing on that. You sometimes forget things, but in the normal run of things, you don't forget your blind spots, do you? So what's the difference here? Obviously we're parked on the right-hand side of the road because the left-hand side of the road is flooded. What's the extra dangers here, do you think?
People coming in and out of them cars, people coming in the street and down, up. It's busy, isn't it?
Is there anything that changes because you're on this side of the road?
Well, yeah, because I have to get on that side of the road.
You can't see as well either, can you?
No.
So how will you deal with that?
Slowly.
Yeah.
Would
Take your time, actually.
Are we
That's
on?
fine.
Are we on a hill?
No.
Is it not a hill start?
It might be a tiny one. So we'll go right at the end of the road, please.
This way.
Yeah.
This is a hill. Let's see if I can get it. Wait for this car.
Okay. I slowed down there when he was
Because
flying
even if-
before, wasn't he?
I know. Because even if I... Hang on, I just completely forgot what I was going to
Okay.
say then.
It's alright. How was that hill start?
That was quite good, wasn't it? I did roll back a little bit though.
How much do you suppose you rolled back then?
Go on, you're going to say like an inch off.
It's the teeny, teeny, tiniest amount.
Oh, it's horrible today, isn't it?
It makes life very awkward, doesn't it? So what can you do to take account of that, do you think?
Whoa, what's happening now? Can I just go straight through that?
What do you reckon?
Well, obviously give way if anybody's coming down to come
Yep.
in. Alright.
There you go. So to counteract the sun, there's several things you can do. You can wear some 1970s sunglasses. Or if you haven't got sunglasses to hand, what else might you do?
This,
Yep,
what I'm doing. What else would you do? I don't know. It's really bright, isn't it?
it is. And the road's wet, which of course gives you the glare. So how does that affect your visibility? Your ability to see stuff?
It does, a lot.
So what might you do to take account of that, do you reckon?
Just be more cautious. I'm as cautious as anything anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're cautious when you need to be. Like that. But when you've got the opportunity, you get on with it. No wrong with that.
God, I've never been down here.
That's good. How's that feel? We're in the bend there.
Bit better now, slow down.
Okay. When you come to this one, get the speed right like you've done, but just put the tiniest amount of gas on, just enough to hold the speed the same. And see what it does to the feel of the car. You feel the difference?
Really?
Okay, we'll try it again at this next one. It's when you run in with the gas off, the weight is shifting forward. If you've got just enough gas on to hold the speed the same, it flattens the weight out. So adjust your speed for the bend, and then once you've got it adjusted, put just enough gas on to keep the speed the same.
Oh, I see.
You feel the difference? It
Yeah,
just
I
sort of
feel
flattens
more,
it out. Just
yeah.
feels flat on the ground, doesn't it?
Oh God, these bends.
The next challenge it is.
I think I have been down here before, actually.
It's an interesting road, this one. It's a nice practice road when I come down here if I wanted to practice some advanced stuff and things and work on taking... Yeah, not quite, no. Well, I would never do such a thing.
And brake turns.
This is how practice me J turns. But can you feel the difference when you've got that little bit of gas on?
Yeah.
How sure-footed it makes the car feel? You're just balancing the weight out. It's good. Leave the mirror check there too.
Well, Vanessa.
does it feel?
Feels alright.
Yeah. Feels okay from here. Feels like you're in control.
So everything I do and change, I look in my mirrors, don't I?
Yeah. Anytime you see anything that's going to make you change direction or speed, or if you're going to move on your hands or on your feet, then it's probably a good
On
idea.
my feet?
Yeah, if you're going to accelerate or brake.
Oh, right.
Probably a good idea to have a little look behind, just see who's doing what. It's like for this bend here, I know you know about the red car behind you because I've seen you checking for it.
Yeah.
But again, just a final check, just to make sure he's not going to do out daft. He looks like he's a patient sort, doesn't he? He's not like hovering over the back of us like that guy last week.
I would say he's not even trying to overtake me. Whoa. So best to go slow through them.
Well, it's you can't slow down so much that you're creating an obstruction, but it's what else could you have done, do you think? Did you notice what the red car did behind us?
Yeah, it went round it.
Yeah, kind of went in the middle. No harm in that, is there? There's nobody coming. Once we find a straight bit, I'd like you to find a convenient place to pull over on the left. Just nice. Well, it's probably about as good as you can get, isn't it? We're clear of the driveway here. You've kept the junction clear. Where else might you have stopped?
In there.
Okay, maybe. Or maybe past the thing,
Past
but then
the thing.
are you close to the junction then?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is probably as...
I've given you enough room anyway.
You have.
I'm not on corner.
So how did that feel, going along there?
Weird, because
Oh, bless you.
I've never been there on that sort of road before.
Well, it's just a different... Cats listening.
Oh, sorry.
Tick-tock. It's just a different style of driving. The key thing with those kind of things is the little thing that we showed you with just putting just enough gas on to keep the speed the same. You're flattening the weight of the car.
Yeah.
What can happen is, and you'll have been a passenger in a car where somebody's come into a corner and gone, ugh, and they start braking, and the car feels like this as you go around, because the weight's being thrown forward by either coming off the gas or by braking, and then the steering throws the weight to the side. So if you can keep that car more flat on the road, you've got more grip on all four wheels. So it's a little technique you can use. The natural tendency, if you're feeling a bit like, ooh, the bend is to come off, or sometimes just putting a little bit of gas on just keeps it balanced. That's all right. You're reading the road ahead well, keeping an eye on what's happening behind you. The puddle thing, there's nothing to stop you, just going in the middle. Now, there's been a few people, hasn't there? It's been in the news, getting caught where it says road closed because it's flooded and people go through. They drive their car in, and the water doesn't have to be too deep before it kills the car. You know, as you go through it, the water gets thrown up, but it also gets thrown up inside the engine, which can make it cut out. So, if you had a deeper bit, what would you know? If the water was right across the road, what would you do?
If there were no way, if I had to go through it,
just
go really slow.
Okay. Where would you position yourself?
In the middle.
Why would you do that?
Because it dips down.
That's it. Excellent. You see you all the time. And once you've been through some water, what do you think you might do afterwards? Think it might have an effect on your brakes?
Possibly.
So what can you do to see if it had or it hadn't?
Dish brakes.
Yeah, just get the brakes a little bit squeezed and make sure they're still working. It's all common sense, isn't it?
It is.
Okie dokie. We'll go to the end of this road and turn right. Now, we'll get some fairly open stretches up there, so we'll get the opportunity probably to try an emergency stop at a slightly higher speed.
Right, okay.
So what I'll do is I'll give you the signal to stop, which will be stop. Stop as quickly as you can under full control, as though it was an emergency. Again, I'll make sure it's safe before I do it. In a real life emergency, as you already know, you wouldn't check the mirrors beforehand, but obviously you'd be keeping up to date. So, end of the road, take the road to the right, please.
When I change from first to second, because I've noticed, like my dad, he just goes straight from first straight to second, but I give it a bit. Does it matter?
No.
Right,
Yeah. Right. So let me ask you the question.
What?
Out of the two of you, which one's the smoothest gear changer?
I can't say that on tape.
No, you can't, though.
Dad will kill me.
So sometimes it's nice to consider the comfort of your passengers. There's nothing worse than sat doing that all the time.
I'm just confused, like, why does he always... And it's... Everybody I've noticed does it. They go straight from, like... Even if they're just on, like... I can't explain it well. Like, Marie and stuff, I shouldn't say this. She goes straight in... She's always in, like, 5th gear all the time and, like, 4th. In taxi drivers do it and stuff, and I don't understand how... Is it me just been taught differently, or...?
Possibly. Well, when we stop to talk about the slip road thing, if you remind me, we'll come back to that and have a little chat about it. But we should get the opportunity somewhere along here to do an emergency stop.
I want to go faster. My fifth now.
Stop.
Oh my good God.
Thank you. When you're ready, drive on again. And find a convenient place to pull over.
Is that a bend?
You could stop just here, I think. Would be so you've got plenty of room for people to get past. It's your shopping on the floor in your handbag. Should have put that there beforehand.
It's a fridge. I've got a
All right.
fridge.
I'll leave it on the floor. How was that?
I don't know.
Do you think you stopped quickly?
Yeah.
It's did you skid?
No.
No, we ended up in a straight line. No, not at all. Did you feel the ABS kick in? I don't think it did. You feel like a under your foot.
No.
No, it's so what you've done is you've controlled it because you've hit the brake and then you've eased the pressure off just ever so slightly as you could to a stop. So if you keep pushing the brake harder and harder and harder, eventually it'll skid. How did that feel? Gets your heart racing a little, doesn't it?
A little bit.
Okay. Anything you might do different if you did it again?
Check the mirrors.
Possibly. Remember though, if it's a real life situation, you've got to deal with the emergency. Checking the mirrors is a secondary thing. How about before you move away again?
Blind spot.
Yeah, have a look around. In a real life situation, here you know there's nobody around you because we're on a
Yeah.
long straight road and we've checked. But in a real life emergency situation, you might have people running across to see what's happening. All sorts of it also gives your heart rate just a little bit of time just to settle back down a bit. Do you want to try another one? A bit higher speed?
How high?
Well, just drive according to the road and traffic conditions and let's see what we've got.
That's not a smooth gear change.
Well, if you're rating that in terms of smoothness, 1 to 10, that gear change, where would you put it?
Oh, like not even one.
How would you rate your gear changing normally,
I don't know.
in terms of smoothness?
What would you rate it?
I'd put it probably close to a 10.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't. You feel more as a driver though. You feel it more. I don't know what it is. You do, don't you?
Stop. That's it. Make the car safe. Thank you. Won't ask you to do that again. Drive on when you're ready. Find a convenient place to pull over on the left.
Good God. That one was bad, that one. I wasn't expecting it.
So could you have stopped that any quicker, do you think?
I don't want to stop here.
Okay. I'll let you find a place that's convenient.
There's a house there, isn't it? And that's a corner.
Okay. So in terms of the speed you're able to stop,
why have I just gone straight into fourth and I'm not even making any speed at all? What's wrong with it? Feels weird. Does it feel weird to you, the car?
no?
Oh my God, Bob, it does. What am I doing wrong?
I don't think you're doing anything wrong. And when you say it feels weird, in what way?
The accelerator. Oh no, I've got to pull over, haven't I?
Well, when you find a convenient place, do you think it's convenient here?
No.
Okay.
Why do you?
No.
There's always lorries and stuff coming round here.
You've got a bend at either end as well, so it's when you're looking for somewhere to stop. You see it all the time though, don't you? People just stop. Oh, I want to be here, so they just stop. And they're never really thinking about, well, is that inconveniencing anybody else? And this is a fairly high-speed road as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're coming into a village in a minute, so you'll find somewhere convenient there.
Obviously, there's like a massive puddle and there's a corner, you won't be able to, you just have to go through it.
That's right. That's right. It just like if it was on the left here,
Yeah.
just where you couldn't see. But what would you do if that was the case? If you had to go through it, there might be somebody coming.
We'd go slow.
Yeah.
Stop there, because it's in front of a drive
Yeah.
and there's a bus stop. I'll go after this bus stop. And the speed bump. What do you think about there?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it, in terms of... So have you kept all the driveways clear? Have you stayed clear of the junctions?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you clear of the hazards that you've identified, the parked cars and the bus stop? Probably about as good as you can get it, isn't it, really? So, emergency stop, how was that?
I felt that more. That what you were saying.
Well, we
That-
stopped quick, and I think the ABS kicked in at the end.
Right at
Through your
end,
foot.
I felt it.
It's the natural reaction there is to go like, ugh! Let it go, but of course you keep moving on. You've got to work hard to get it to kick in on this car, obviously because it's fairly new. Could you stop it any quicker? No, I don't think you could either. It's fine. That's a full-blown emergency stop. We were touching, what, 50 mile an hour there, I think?
Yeah.
Maybe even slightly above it. Okay, you then said the car felt...
I don't
felt
know.
weird.
I think it might just because I felt that vibration in my foot and everything feels different. I don't know, it just felt different. It feels...
Well, it's like...
What happens? Does something happen to a car when it's like...
Well, I think what tends to happen is after you've done something like an emergency stop or something like that, it's like somebody going, boo!
Right.
And your senses are heightened because you've just had a quick, so...
Do you think that's what it is?
Possibly.
I felt car
The car felt okay from this side, but I mean, I asked you, why weird, because it might have had something untoward. I also had a little check as well. If you feel the car's doing something unusual, something that you're not used to, have a look. There might be some signs that there's something not quite right. Any idea what the sign might be that something wasn't right with the car?
that engine light goes on.
Could be, yeah. If you get an orange light, that's generally an indication that there's something wrong with one of the systems. A red light would mean there's something seriously wrong and you need to have it checked. So that can be a bit of an indication. Or you can get all sorts of... my car, for instance, is very finicky about the kind of fuel that you put in it. If I put supermarket fuel in my car, it won't run probably. Because it's a category 5 emissions diesel. And it misfires. So sometimes you get water in the fuel, you can get all sorts of things. So the car will tell you, like it tells you it wants to change gear and stuff. It can also tell you when it's not feeling very well. It's not performing the way you would want. I think what you've got now is you're looking for usable power. This car just doesn't have it. It just doesn't. I mean that's something else, isn't it? When you get your own car, you've got to kind of get used to a different kind of car, haven't you? Operating it. Well, you've got your own car. It's not on the road yet, but you've got it. I suspect your little car's probably got more power than this.
It's different, like, everything's right close together and this one's spread out.
So, I mean, what will you do the first time you drive it?
It's like being like learning to drive again.
But
on my own. Not learning to drive, but learning to, well, it is, isn't it?
Well, it is, and there's the cars these days are getting really quite complicated. They have all sorts of little warning systems that can help you to find. And when you're getting used to a new car, you've got to allow yourself a little bit of time to familiarise. And people quite often just jump into a new car and drive it. Never even tried the brakes. So first thing to do is to get a feel for the brake pedal. At slow speeds and then slightly higher.
Even just messing with clutch, see if you know where
on your driveway. Just to get used to it.
This bike might be different.
Well, it will be. It will.
It might be higher, and you might have to.
It's not so bad if it's higher because you then just wait. That's when it kicks in lower. So, I mean, it might be an option if it's something that you feel like you ever drive my car because it's very different. And just see how you settle in with that, just to get the feel for it, and also to show you some of the warning systems that are on the newer cars. I mean, if you turn the engine off, it's not something we've done before, but as you turn the ignition on, if you have a look at the lights,
it comes up.
Some lights come on and then go off. That's a self-test.
It's that one in.
There you go. See, it's just gone on.
It's supposed to be an engine, but it looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of like an engine, but it looks a bit odd. It looks more like plumbing.
It's like a tap.
Or a toilet. Yeah, it does look like a tap, yeah. So when you turn the ignition on, they'll
go.
Yeah, the check that I would look at is, okay, the lights have come on that I expect to go on, and when I start it, the lights have gone off that I expect to go off. That tells you all the systems. It is. But it's also the brake warning light. So I like to test mine before I move off. So if you put your right foot on the brake and let go of the handbrake, so the light should go off. That tells you all the systems are working. So now you know if a light comes on. You've tested the systems, because that's the self-test when it first starts. Now if a light comes on, you know there's something.
Do you know on my test, I know we shouldn't talk about it, but do they do that with you?
Show me, tell me. Yeah, they'll ask you, well, let's only ask you. So now they'll ask you stuff like, where do you find information about the tyre pressures on this car?
Where would I?
I don't know, what do you reckon?
What's the appropriate tyre pressure?
Yeah.
Internet.
Google? Yeah, you can Google it.
I'm going to say Google.
That's what Bobby Joe said to the examiner when he asked that. Where would you find information on tyre pressure? She went, well, I'd Google it, wouldn't I? And you would, wouldn't you? Yeah. That's a good answer, isn't it? And he said to her, but what if you had a power cut? She went, well, I'd ask my granddad. But it's all in here, isn't it? In your handbook. But sometimes you might not have the book for your car. So Google's a good place to go. Also, you'll often find that doing well here. There's sometimes on a little plate in the door. It's normally in the driver's door, so you make sure it's safe before you open it and have a look. You might see there's a little plate stuck in there that gives you the tyre pressures.
Can I do it?
What do you reckon?
It depends how much I have to open it.
So I think you were right to wait.
Sometimes people panic when they see a door open.
They do, they do.
You might have knocked that cyclist off of it.
So either in the door frame or along the back of the door, there's sometimes a little plate on there that tells you the tyre pressures.
Is that what it means?
Yeah. And
What is like average? Seeing average or?
No, they're all different, and of course
Because my tyres are tiny, like little bicycle ones.
But it depends on what sort of speed you're going to be travelling and what kind of weight you're carrying in the car. So if you're running with 4 passengers, then you need the tyre pressure different. If you're running at higher speed, you need the tyre pressures to be different. Now, especially when it comes to looking after your own car, a 1% difference, or if you're out by 1% on your tyre pressure, it'll increase the tyre wear by 13%, which is a massive amount when you consider how expensive tyres are. You'll also use a lot more fuel if you haven't got your tyre pressures right. So it's something that's really important to check. And people just don't realise it.
No.
Now, getting back to what you talked about before, about your gear changing. Now, without no names, no pack, I'm not talking about any driver in particular, but you've noticed that people tend to rip through the gears a bit. Do they get there any quicker than you? Can you think of any... What do you think the advantages are for them?
I don't know. That's why I don't understand.
What do you think the disadvantages may be?
Well, is it? I don't know. Is it using the clutch and knackering your car up?
Well, they're revving it a bit harder as well, aren't they? So they're probably using more fuel. It's probably wearing the car out a little bit more than it would do normally. The thing we call vehicle sympathy, that not many drivers possess. If you're nice to the car will be nice to you. I sold my last car with 250,000 miles on it, and it was still running as sweet as a nut because I tread it nicely. So if you treat the car nicely, it'll treat you nice back. I think girls tend to be a bit nicer to their cars because the girls normally name their cars, and cars have a life. Has your car got a name yet? What's it called?
Betsy.
Betsy. Oh, there you go. Mine doesn't. So it's running smooth like that. You're using less fuel. It's less wear and tear on you. You tend not to be as tense or stressed, but the problem is everybody's in a hurry.
Yeah.
And we see everybody else driving that way, so we just kind of do the same sort of things. And they've done that because they've seen other people do it. It's like the same reason.
It doesn't harm the car if I'm not. Say that I'd nipped at shop. I wouldn't ever. Why would I need to be in 4th or 5th gear if I'm just going a short distance in 30 mile an hour zone?
Yeah.
Does it make sense to you that?
Absolutely.
It don't make sense to me why they do it.
There's no point in being hard on the car.
And if you feel, obviously, the car feels like it's going to need to change gear, then that's when I change it. I don't just change it. I tried it up there. I did try and change it like quick, but it didn't get me anywhere, and I still had to go in third.
Right. So it doesn't really serve any useful purpose. The key thing as well is it's especially when the engine's cold, and the majority of the damage that's done to engines is done in the first 5 minutes when it's not warm. So if you're gentle with it in those times, your engine's going to last you longer. And if you ever think about it, I suspect that I've probably bought a lot less cars because I've got more miles out of the cars that I've got. And when you think a car's 15 grand, that's worth saving, isn't it? So there's nothing wrong with being smooth. Always think smooth. If you get it smooth, everything works slowly. It's comfortable for your passengers. Do you know anybody who's travel sick?
My friend's travel sick, but I think it's only on belts and stuff.
Well, have a chat with her. There'll be some drivers that make her feel more sick than others. My other half suffers from travel sickness, so she likes travelling with me because I'm ultra smooth. You can't tell the car's moving because I've practiced it to do that. That's what we do for the advanced stuff, Rosper and IM. So you get the car so it's just gliding along. She doesn't get travel sick, so we can do a journey from the south of Germany all the way up to here, and she's not sick at all until we get on the ferry. Where she's with some drivers within 100 yards.
I'd love to do that advanced driving.
Well, yeah, we've done a little bit of that today without holding the gas on to go around the corner. That's an advanced technique.
Oh, is it?
It is. I mean, we'll touch on it at some point. I mean, because you've got the interest in driving, I mean, I'm assuming you're probably going to come back and we'll do Pass Plus maybe, and it's just simple things like, as you look at the road ahead here, how tight do you think that bend is? If you've never been around the corner before, there is a way of telling. So if we look,
right,
when you're approaching it on the move, so if you took the lamppost that's on the right hand side there, and can you see there's a gap between the lamppost on the left and the one on the right. If you get closer to that, if that gap opens up, it tells you the bend is slack. If the gap stays the same, it means the bend is tight. So it's what we call vanishing point, or the limit point. So on the way in, you can tell how tight the bend is. You can tell how tight you can
Is
go
that
around
like
the bend.
actually a theory though? Because what if the lamppost wasn't there?
Then you would measure it against the bin or against the bungalow. So you see the bungalow there, the bottom right-hand corner of the roof is just about
Could you do
lined
that
up.
with parked cars then, if it were in the same
You
position?
can do, yeah. So what it does is it gives you a guide as to how fast you can travel. So what we're always aiming to do is to always be able to stop within the distance we can see to be clear.
Yeah.
So that limit point, this is what the police drivers use. They can tell that when they're on maximum sort of velocity through that bend. But we'll have a little look at that as we're going through these things. So from here, we can see the A1s across the top there. So we'll go underneath it, turn left at the Darrington Hotel, and then join the A1. So tell me how you'll approach that.
Oh, should be quick.
Okay. So it's, when will you be able to see the traffic that's on that road? Any idea?
It's just as I'm coming out the corner.
Yeah, you see it before you actually turn it to go
Yeah.
on there, couldn't you? So you get a bit of an idea. You might be able to find, I don't know, a wagon with a gap behind it that you can maybe time your approach to. So we're going to need to build our speed up fairly quick, aren't we?
Yeah.
Now, let's assume that it doesn't work as well as we want it to, and we can't find a gap in. What can you do?
Just there's a long enough road and there's a long enough gap.
Hopefully, but sometimes there isn't. Now, it depends on the layout of the road. If there's a hard shoulder, like a motorway,
Yeah.
you've got that as an escape route. So we're always looking for escape routes if what we want to do doesn't work. If it is just a slip road and there's nowhere to go, then you're going to have to adjust
Because you
accordingly.
can't just stop.
No, but you do see people doing that, because what's the danger there, do you think?
People coming from behind
So
you.
clouting you from behind hard, yeah. So it's, the key thing is you've got it's just the same decision-making process. You've just got to do it all quicker. You want to have a bash?
I'll try that for. See if I can do it.
I have faith in you. So as you watch the lamppost, with that other post, can you see it's just starting to open out already?
So it's
The
a
gap's
slack.
widening, so it's a slack bend.
Well, I'm saying thank you to him. They didn't really.
You'd spend the rest of the day now going, who was that woman that waved at me?
His wife in Carter, was she?
Who was that? So under the bridge, we'll take the first left.
We're just going to drop a gear then, but it's quite a wide.
Yeah.
Come on.
So as we spin round, we can start looking for a gap. Have a think about which gear you might need here. What do you reckon?
Third.
I would do, yeah.
Oh shit.
Right. That's it, well done.
Do you know?
So have a look at the lorries. Can we find a gap? What about that? There's two of them close together there. Do you think you can get in behind him?
Oh, Bob, this is horrible.
Well, it's a little different. So he's starting to come, so if you pick your speed up to match his, and then signal to the right.
Can I go?
What do you think? Let the Peugeot go, and then
No.
we're going behind him. There you
going
go.
now?
That's it. So you can see you've got a
Oh, I didn't like that. Oh my god.
It's difficult when you've got this traffic, because as you can see, it's all bunched up together, isn't it?
Oh my god, I don't like that at all.
Well, what you've got is a very short time frame in which to get it done. And of course, the closer to the end
I didn't
you get,
like this weather. This sun's making me squint. I just don't like it. Is it going to do that on my test?
well, if we get a day like today, then yeah, you can come on there. Don't worry, we'll come around there a few more times.
Oh, we're
The
gonna have
thing,
to.
we'll take the next exit from this road. The thing that causes you the issue is the speed which with you have to do everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god.
It's not that. It's your blind spot as well.
Yeah. I mean, that is a particularly nasty slip road because there's trees there you can't see properly. What do you think they could do to make that junction safer? Do you reckon?
Put another. Can you do that? Put another slip road in.
Well, they could make the slip road longer, perhaps a little bit, but anything else? What got in your way as you came to the end? What was stopping you seeing?
What's stopping me seeing?
son was one of them. That's maybe a little bit of an obscure question. Would it have been easier with those trees cut down, do you think? Those
Yeah.
bushes? You'd get a clear view along the road,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? It's good. You had a little bit of a fight with the gear lever, but what did you do when that happened?
Just dropped it in and then I noticed
Yeah, just let go then. Yeah, so you knew where you were. It's good.
That's because I panicked. I should have just stayed calm.
Well, again, that's that thing again, is that you didn't look like you were panicking, and your actions sorted it out, but it's the under the water thing again, isn't it? But you cope with it. That's the most important thing. You quite often get challenges, driving in a strange town, driving a strange car, hitting a section of road like that where the wagons are bunched up. There's one wagon overtaking the other, which makes all the cars come up, which only leaves you a tiny gap to get into. Shall we run
That
up
was
this road?
really busy though, that wasn't
It was. So well done. What do you think these are going to do? Any idea?
Shall I go on that side?
No, we'll follow this road.
We ain't indicating.
What do we know about that? What can we tell for sure about that?
Staying in that road to turn left.
Would you stake your life on it?
No. Too late now.
So again, we're always looking for what's our escape route. Or where would your escape route have been then?
That way.
Was there anybody in that then? How did you know?
Fell up.
Yep. It's easy, isn't it? Easy.
Although, there could have been someone in my blind spot. I didn't check my blind spot.
Now then, they would have had to work very hard to get into your blind spot.
And then carry on to
Yeah.
speed.
So I wouldn't check a blind spot, but I might just have a glance just over my shoulder. But you were checking all the way along, so you were aware of what was there. That's the key thing. What do you suppose they're going to do?
You're going somewhere now.
It's good, you've kept yourself out of trouble. Now you shouldn't have to adjust there. They should do the adjusting, but of course they haven't. So you've done it for them. So if we go ahead at the roundabout, it's the second exit. Then we'll go up to the next roundabout, spin round and back down. How's that sound? So if you have a look at the DVD, there's some show me, tell me stuff on there. And what we'll do is, when we get back, we'll pop the bottom up and have a look under there, because you'll ask you stuff like, show me where you would put the oil, show me where you would put the water,
gosh.
show me where you would. Well, we'll have a look. You'll probably be able to work it out. We'll have a look when we get back to yours.
I thought you were overtaking me. Yeah, it's a lane. He is!
Was that embryonic road rage?
Did you not notice that it was still construction and bit? So it was still 40 miles an hour. Yes, now it might be 60.
It was there, but it wasn't then, was it? So,
This is dual carriageway, so it's 70, isn't it?
well, it's about to become a single carriageway, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
What we'll do is round the roundabout back down this way. So how did that make you feel when he come past there where?
I know what
It
you
can
were
be
doing.
annoying though,
innit?
can't it? It can be frustrating and annoying, but the problem is if you allow it to get to you, it
Yeah.
impacts on your driving. So all the way around, back down this way. The world is full of pillocks, and most of them have got driving licenses. It's very judgmental of me, isn't it?
Well, you want indicating, but...
It's tricky, and he was also positioned like he might be coming this way. What might you been able to do different there, do you think?
I don't know, tell me.
Okay. So you had your eye on him from a fair way back, and you're thinking, oh, he's not
Should have
signaling.
gone
He looks
faster,
like
maybe.
either faster or slower. He looks like he might be coming this way, I would either have picked the speed up and get in front of him, or I would just ease back and get him out of the way, so you're not arriving there at the same time. And then you take him out of the equation.
I was slowing down though.
You were.
And I think she were right close to me. She walked pretty close, wasn't she?
Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the way you did it.
Right.
But if...
There's a better way.
Well, not necessarily better, just it means... I always look, when I'm doing it, I always look to try and keep myself out of danger. I assume everybody else is going to try and kill me. And I try not to arrive at hazards at the same time as other drivers.
Right.
So I'm constantly micro-adjusting what I'm doing. So I would have maybe just eased off a tad, let them get out of the way, then they're not an issue for me. Because they weren't indicating, they weren't positioned properly.
You want to indicate? What indicate? You want one?
No, I didn't bother. But they were positioned over this way, which made it look like they might be coming around, so they should have been positioned further over, but they weren't. So like this situation, we'll go ahead. I'm always looking here and thinking,
do you change gear?
Does it feel like it needs it? What do you reckon?
Would you?
How does it feel?
Feels alright, but it's going around bending it a
So get your camera over there in the kit. So that time you've adjusted and made sure what he was doing and then carried on. So it makes life easier for you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to adjust for other people that way, but unfortunately, it's not the world we live in.
Could have possibly done it even earlier. Because he could have still changed his mind. But I were enough out of the way.
Yep.
Were I?
Yep. Were you able to keep the car moving? And they weren't an issue for us anymore because yeah. I think that's part of the key of becoming a good driver, or becoming better all the time, is just thinking about, well, what else could I have done there? Is there anything else I could have done? Because there's nothing you can do about those people. They're going to do what they're going to do. So if we take the next exit from this road, you can navigate your way home from here.
You didn't say negotiate that time.
I didn't. I remembered. And what we'll do is, if you want, we'll pull in and fill the car up with fuel.
Where at Jet?
Yeah. So, which side do you think the petrol filler's on?
We should have gone third and then.
Nothing wrong with the way you did it then.
What side's on? I don't have a clue.
It's on your side.
Don't even look then. Don't worry about messing him. That's in your foot go. Right, do you want to go in this one?
Yes, please.
So I indicate that way and then that way.
That's it.
I'm gonna go. Fine. No, I'm not. Can't do a lesson without stalling me.
It's not a concern. What matters is what you do with it.
I get really annoyed with myself.
But you quite often hear people say, oh, I've failed my test for stalling. It's not, it's because they stalled and then panicked. You stall it and then sort it out. Not an issue at all. Because the examiner stalls his car. Oh, it's been nice, look. Who'd have thought?
Come on, hurry up, Peugeot, hurry up.
It was jolly decent up, wasn't it?
Ooh, going to be quick. Right, so my side.
It's on your side, yeah. Do you know how you can tell?
No.
And this works with every car in the world.
What?
So, little car safe. So you look at your fuel gauge. There'll either be an arrow pointing, or see where the hose is, and see there's a little picture of a petrol pump on there.
Oh yeah, it's that
The
side.
hose is on that side, so that tells you what side your petrol cap's on.
That's cool.
Most people don't. An awful lot of people don't know about that. You know.
You have to turn your engine off.
You do. You do.
I like it.
So, let's stick some fuel in. I'll show you how that works. Righty-ho. Onwards and upwards, or at the least sideways. Take yourself home from here. It's good. I like the all-round checks. You just never know. People do the daftest things here. The mind isn't on the job always.
You stay in there. There's no one doing it. Oh, this is weird. That one a smooth one.
Wasn't bad. That was though.
I don't think I'm ready, maybe.
Okay. Well, I've noticed.
Do you think I'm not? I don't think I'm not. I think I'm not even.
We've got a bit of time yet.
Do you think?
Yeah.
When I panicked earlier and I know how I'm going all over that. When I'm concentrating on looking at something and not concentrating on my wheel, where I'm positioned in road.
Well, what it does is it means we've had a look at that junction, which is a bit of a nasty one. So you've got a little bit of experience of that now, which you'll be able to take into the next time that you do it. And then the next time and the next time.
It does seem that I do that though.
Well, that's fine. It's natural. It's what I've observed today is a little bit of self-doubt starting to creep in, which is natural. It's a
I doubt
test.
myself every time I stall. It does me head in.
Well, shall I let you in a little secret?
What?
When I jumped in the car today to come over here, I was running a little bit late. I stalled on my way to pick you up. So there you go. Happens to everybody. And it's just because I did it too quick. But the stall's not the issue. It's what you do after it that counts. So we've got quite a few sessions left yet before the day. So
How
again,
many is it? Just
as many as we need.
we can change the day though if I really don't know.
No, well I've got it. There's only the one Thursday that I can't make. So the text I sent him, we'll just do every Monday and Thursday now.
Yeah.
Fine. Until you're happy.
Can I change down to third?
You can. But you don't need my permission.
Just asking if I can do that or not. I knew I could. I don't know why I ask you sometimes.
That's alright, don't worry about it.
Can we go up cobbler?
Sure.
Oh, the same as my car. Right, looks it.
Hold on. I think you're right to be cautious.
We can all fit down here. Wait.
So how did that junction feel when we came in?
Fine. Maybe a bit quick.
Okay. What do you think caused that?
I changed gear too late.
Little bit. Just meant that you carried that little extra speed in. What they're looking for when it comes to test, I don't know if this helps or not, they want to say that you're competent and that you're safe. That's the key thing. So that if mistakes do happen, like say a stall, as long as you take the right action, then you're alright. He's looking to think, well, alright, I'm going to have to share the road with you.
Yeah.
So, how do I feel about that? It's been an interesting episode. It's very easy though, as it comes to sort of test out, I think, oh, I better do something different. I better be a bit more careful, or oh, I better get on with things.
I should just be the same.
Yeah, just what you've done on lessons is fine. It's you know, think about how many lessons you've had. It's shaping up really, really well.
How many lessons have I had?
I believe today's number 17.
Why did I delay then for signal? Why did I do that? Didn't need to delay. They're just parked cars, aren't they?
Yeah, tricky, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But you've done the right thing by taking the little extra time to do the extra observation, because they were blocking your view. It's nicely done. Well done.
Go on. I should have done
Tricky situation that with the wagon being parked there, wasn't it?
that. What an awful way to park, place to park.
So you had two options: hold back and let them go, which she clearly indicated, or go steady round them.
She was just waiting to see what I was going to do that
Yeah.
one, wasn't she?
Well, you had priority, but it makes it awkward because you've got to kind of. I would have probably done what you did and said, "Go out of the way." But nice that you
Well,
didn't
she
flash
was
your
edged
lights.
out.
Yeah,
I didn't flash my lights.
you didn't. I know. I'm saying it's good that you didn't.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I hate it when the weather's like this. It's just gloomy and miserable, isn't it? It's just like. Ugh.
Just follow the curve. Okay.
How's that then? Happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that one.
Excellent. Job's a good one. Just been changing off. So, do a little bit of the show me, tell me stuff outside. He might ask you to, show me where you would put the oil in, or he'll ask you to pop the bonnet. The bonnet catches here.
Of course, I'll be in this car. I won't be in a different car.
It's okay, be in this one. So let's pop out and have a look. There you go. So you can familiarise yourself with that. If you have a look on the website as well, there's pictures of the car, show you where everything is.
Is that all he's going to do when he first gets...
He might not even get you to do that. It'll be stuff like that, or he'll say to you something like, we talked about the tyre pressure, he'll say, show me how you would check whether the horn was working. So how would you do that, do you think? Yeah? Scared that for you. Oh, you people that? Or show me how you would turn the headlights on.
Oh my god, I don't know this stuff. Oh,
It's ages since we did that, isn't it? Let's have a look down to the right on the dashboard.
Oh, yeah. See, it's different because my car's like that.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll run through all this as we're getting ready.
Yeah.
If you're not sure, always try and think, well, what would be the common sense thing? Or just have a look around. They've always got this stuff on them, which is a bit of a giveaway. Or if
Bobby
you're not,
Joe do this car?
the what, sorry?
Did Bobby Joe, wasn't she in this car?
Yes, yeah.
Is everybody in this car, yeah?
Well, your Emma started testing my car
Right.
because this car broke one day, and I took my car. And once she'd driven it, she went, "I want to drive this."
Why?
It's just a nicer car to drive, I think. Well, we'll give you a try of it. See what you think. You can sit it in either car. Doesn't really matter. I think my car's more of a driver's car than this one is. I find that, when you were trying to make this car go and it just wouldn't. You did that with my car, the speed would just pick straight up.
What litre is it?
It's a 1.6 sports diesel. Look at it. Think
I'd
about
try it. Is it a smoother drive? Is it just better?
It's different. It's my other half doesn't like driving my car.
Right.
She finds it's hard on the road because it's got sports suspension.
Fiesta?
Yeah, it's a sports Fiesta. Yeah. I'll bring it one day and we can try it. So, how do you think today went?
I think I'm getting better, Bob.
Okay.
But
good. I sense that you're not happy overall.
I don't think. I know we've got a couple of lessons left anyway. I don't want to fail.
No.
Because I know how bad I felt when I failed the first time in my theory, and it proper knocked me down.
Well, yeah, I mean it does because you know things get built up to it. All we can do is prepare as best we can, and this is really where I need the input from you. How are you feeling about it? If there's anything that you're not confident about at all, anything that's a niggle or a worry, we'll just work through it, and we'll work through it until you feel happy. It's like the stuff, you know. There's quite often the time you say, "Well, I'm not happy with that," and I've looked at it and thought,
Sometimes,
"Well, I think it's okay."
I don't want to sound horrible, Bob. I don't want to sound horrible. Sometimes when you ask me questions while we're driving and I'm concentrating, I'm like, oh, I don't know what. I do know, I just don't. I'm concentrating on that.
That's
do you know what I
fine,
mean?
yeah.
So sometimes maybe not ask me as many questions.
Well, it's okay to say, "Shut up," you know.
I know, but I can't say that.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
But when it's silent, I'm so concentrated on the road and everything else.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the closer we get to test, the more silence is going to be, because that's what you're going to have on test. He's just going to give you the route directions and nothing else. Some of them sometimes will have a little chat with you when you're on a straight road and you're not dealing with anything. So as we get closer and closer to test, you'll be doing more and more just driving in silence. So you will be. That's the key thing on test is they don't want to talk to you because they don't want to spoil your concentration, as it were. But again, do your reflection and have a think about, you know, what you liked out of it, what you didn't like, what do you want to work on. It's an option if you want to. You can plan a route through to either Wakefield or to Leeds to park somewhere, and so you've done all of that on your own. So you've done the independent thing, and of course it does mean
Can't
that
go on that way, can I?
No. But it means we'll be able to, you know, everything that we've done so far, we'll be doing in areas that you've never seen before, or that you've never driven across before. So that's quite a little bit of a test as well. And I'll make a little note for myself. Shut up. Which is fine. And it's just a case now of us plotting our route through the test and getting you in the best mental shape we can when you get there. So I'll be guided by you in that regard. What do you need? You know, how are you feeling about stuff? What are you confident about? What you're not confident about? What do you want to work on? What are you happy with?
Yeah.
And there's no reason why you can't pass first time. We just got to arrive there in the right shape. So excellent. So next Monday, same time, maybe for a bit longer.
I'm just thinking. Oh yeah, Monday. Yeah, that's fine.
Thursday.
Monday, Thursday.
Also, you know, you have the added pressure of the cameras.
Yeah.
At any point from this point forward now, we can just turn them off. That's entirely up to you. You know, if it's because it does create an extra pressure. But again, that's something I'll let you think about. So it's the last thing we want to do is have anything get in the way of getting the result that we want. So if you feel that, you know, you would like the cameras off, just drop me a text in between.
It's never really bothered me.
Okay.
And we've got to be YouTube fans.
Yay! Give them away. Well, it is, and people are waiting for them coming through. But obviously, you know, we can't video the test because it's not allowed.
All right. Right.
We'll
good.
video the mock test because we can do that. But on the real test, the cameras aren't allowed.
So we'll video that bloke that's coming in and doing it as well. Right, okay.
So again, it's going to create a little extra pressure. It'll give you a real test situation. Some bloke you've never met before is going to get in with a clipboard and a pen and just give you the route directions. Yeah. Just give you the route directions as to where to go. So it'll be a real test in effect. Right. Excellent.
Okay.
I shall see you next Monday.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Bob.